So, you're back to hear more about that scientist that got trapped in the game. Well, he seems to be doing alright. He's only been shot with an arrow, attacked. I'm sure he'll be just fine. I guess you'll have to wait and see. As Ken walked out the front of the tower, the bright light from the blue sky blinded him. He turned around, filling up the gap in his door, noticing another pool of blood below him. He needed supplies, and he figured the best thing, and what his son would always do, is cut down trees with his fist. As he swung his fist into the bark of the tree, it was almost soft and easy to break, and moments later the tree fell. He gathered the wood and sticks and proceeded to plant the seeds that had dropped as well. He was a scientist after all and did believe in renewable energy. Ken continued chopping down trees with his fist, which seemed unreal to him. An idiom, chopping down trees with your fist. He shook his head as he returned to the tower with the rest of his wood. He opened up a new tunnel, more at a centralized point. He just thought it would be a better option. This tower was becoming his home, and for now, the dirt filling the holes in which he could leave would keep him safe. He hoped at one point to upgrade. As he proceeded to the main floor, he believed his next best option was to build a staircase heading to the roof so he could easily access it. But he was interrupted by the sound of a zombie that was burning. He checked outside the tower and saw it. However, this zombie, even though he caught only a glimpse, was different in design. It looked weird. He ran downstairs to make sure it hadn't broken, and he remembered this was a game though, and this was instilled in his head as he saw the zombie's hand phasing through the blocks in which his tower existed. The premise of this was unbelievable, but he shook his head off as he went back upstairs. He broke trees with his fist. What's a hand moving through solid stone? As he went to the crafting bench, he needed to relieve the weight of all this equipment and items in his bag. He decided to build a couple of oak chests and place them on the ground. This would give him sufficient room to store all the things he didn't immediately need, as this growling zombie still existed outside the wall. It made him slightly timid, but he felt safe within the confines of his stone walls. After fixing the weight issues, he proceeded to build his spiral staircase with the oak wood he had collected. His design was a bit primitive and unruly. Ken was not a carpenter by any means, but it seemed to hold even though under his step it squeaked. After this, he proceeded to make more wood equipment, a pickaxe to break the stone. He had already made an axe for cutting trees in the future. He figured it would be better than his fist, and a good weapon if he needed it. Once he reached the top, he spat more blood out from his lung. It was almost normal now. He could feel that wound, that arrow that had stabbed into his chest had reached his lung, and occasionally coughing up the blood was normal. He continued working, pressing that he needed to complete his building. And as he came to a finish, he had made a small entrance at the top. It was safe and covered. He believed this was good. He was out of wood anyway. There was very little he could do here. He replaced the torches that he had broken in his construction, and the roof was well lit again. The sound of distant barking made him wonder if, well, there were others out here, or friendly creatures, as all he had encountered was danger. He went back to the main floor, and reaching the chest, he realized realized that he was getting hungry. There was no food there, and he decided to see if he could see anything from the roof. And as he did, he spotted some pigs in the distance, but quickly had to retreat as a skeleton patrolled the bottom of his tower. Ken wasn't in the best of shape. He didn't know how to make any sort of medical equipment either. He sealed up another hole that he had opened earlier. He was unsure what to do next. He needed to make some sort of way to get out of here, or to gather supplies. It was unsafe to do at night, and his small trip of gathering trees helped during the day. It allowed him to make equipment, but it wasn't enough. Soon he'd be hungry, so much that his body would be eating itself. At this moment he thought perhaps that dungeon in the basement would give some sort of relief to his hunger, and he headed into the darkness. But the fear of what lied below was too much. He refilled the blocks and returned to upstairs. Ken was scared. He was hungry. He was hurt. He looked out all the portholes of his house, seeing the numerous creatures surrounding him. As he stepped side to side, he didn't know if he was gonna make it. Facility members like him didn't ever have combat training or survival training. He was a scientist. Usually they had armed guards or accompanying units to cover these issues, but not anymore. His thoughts were a mess. He was unsure what to do. The sounds of these monsters surrounding him scared him even more. He sat down in a corner, hoping to get some rest. But he was awoken by the sound of what sounded like water. He looked out a porthole and saw rain and quickly ran up the stairs to the roof. It was beautiful. The splashes of rain running down his face, it felt so refreshing. He tried to call the connection again.
Code 237, reconnect transmission link.
He thought maybe he needed to get higher up, that his tower wasn't high enough.
Come on, please work this time.
He tried again.
Code 237, reconnect transmission link.
But there was no reply. He noticed a building across from him that was higher up. Perhaps traveling there in the future he could get a connection. Although this result was not what he hoped, he enjoyed the rain a little longer as it washed off the dirt and blood, before heading back to the main floor and finding somewhere to sit down yet again, trying to get more rest. The sound of a monster nearby, maybe even inside the tower, startled him. He looked around for the subject that created this nauseating sound, but there was nothing. He checked out the windows, but he realized he'd just have to sleep like this now, in fear, in worries. Well, looks like he's doing better this time. Nobody attacked him. He didn't get any more hurt. But as you and I know, coughing up blood isn't a good thing. I wonder if he'll make it through the night. Hey, thanks for coming to watch the Minecraft story series, episode 2, The Parasites. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Come join the Alagoragaming community of fun and stories. More importantly than anything though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.